Hello, teacher and dear students. In this case, I will present to you the main characteristics of linguistics methodology and research in the context of English education, inside the context about the teacher in AFL teaching, and the characteristics and how this helps our students and our professionals to engage of language education about English of a foreign language. In this case, this is my ID. I am Sebastián Serrano, a student of the UTPL, Universidad Técnica Particular de Loja. Here is my ID. Okay, I will present to you the main characteristics of linguistics, methodology, and research, and how this helps to the teachers engage the English classes, and my main context characteristics of examples, for example. For the first step, we have linguistics. The characteristics of linguistics is about the foundation about the English. These types of parts that helps to understand the English and the foundation about the structured language. In this case, we help to you to communicate, exchange ideas, and the purposes about different topics like ISP, language, for example, medicine, technical issues about English inside. The linguistics is a part of the English works, how works inside the language communication. This type of linguistics helps to, for example, our professionals to engage our class, for example, in this case, for understanding. My example for this case is about exchange ideas, for example, interviews or feelings. The students will engage the classes about the exchange ideas and the use of language, for example, the characteristics of the day or the typical circumstances that the students or the teachers have in the rest of the day. In this case, this type of routines, for example, is essential to understand the capability for the English in the communication about linguistics. That is the foundation. For example, the grammar, the adjectives. In this case, the students have the opportunity to understand the different adjectives or verbs. The next part is the methodology. The methodology is the part of the English how works inside the class. The methodology is the part of the circumstances that the students have the chance to take the class. For example, in this case, the methodology will have to draw, for example, the sale of the teaching in different ways, the technology or even the games. In this case, I will help to you with my example that I used to be in the class. That is the help of technology, because the technology is more easier to the student to understand the complex characteristics of the English, for example, the meaning of the words. Other example may be the games. That is the part of the that the student have to understand, for example, the goals that we have inside. This type of methodology is the part of the English that I have to say that is the best way to understand the English inside a great goal. The methodology is the important part of the circumstances that the English takes. For example, for the teacher, it's important to have a great methodology inside different materials or even things that the same student could make. This type of methodology helps to the teacher understand better, enjoyful, amazing things that the student or the teacher with the exchange ideas are as one. For example, inside the class, this type of methodology could be the edge about the meaning of the goals, successful class, or the board class. And the final part is the research. In this case, is a type of circumstances that the teacher says in each class for understand whether the communication or even the understanding about the idiom. The research comprehends the results of the goals or even the mistakes that the class has. In this case, the aim that the research takes to the teacher is about the the correct goals that we chase around the class. It's a type of prompt that is the key that is here. It's about the data that the teacher develops inside the class, chasing the circumstances or mistakes that the class has. In this case, an example of research, we will have, for example, in this case, the circumstances that the class has in the understanding or even the familiarity with the language. In this case, we have to use the research to understand whether the percentage, for example, of the level of English, or even the circumstances that the student normally have in each day, the routines about the use of language. In this case, the percentage that the students use in their daily day, that will help to the students or even the teacher to comprehend how this type of English is loved for the student. If the English is used the more time of the student to chase the capability to understand or even to chase more easy the love for English, and even if this type of circumstances is connected for the successful English classes. The conclusions is about that every step shown in this time is comprehend for different circumstances to make the class better. For example, we have the main characteristics of linguistic, that is the base of the class, the methodology, that is the sail of the boat that the English takes for the ocean of the education, and the conclusion in this case, that is the research, that is the type of evaluation that we have to our students. In this case, a great example is about the capability that the student have to chase the love of English, for example, the percentage inside the daily routines about the students that is connected with the successfully goals or grades inside the English classes, because the student is more familiarized with the idiom, or even this type of students love the English, that is better as a better circumstance for understanding our goals inside the class. That is the bibliography if you have to exchange ideas or view the large horizon about this type of conclusions. Thank you, teacher.